Derick Giwner along with the slightly overdressed Matt Rose here to talk about the Meadowlands or Meadowlands Pace Night, July the 18th, Saturday night, early post time, 6:30 p.m. We have all the free PPs for Harness Eye going to be posted up on the website. Right now, we're going to get into the action. It starts with race number 6, the $100,000 guaranteed pick for the Mistletoe Chalet, $194,000. We're going to give out our pick 4 tickets. My top picks in this race are 1, 6, and 9. JK First Lady, Rocknificent, and Lion Sentinel. I went with Rocknificent as my top pick in here. I just think she's a drop sharper than these others right now. She's got good gate speed to get into good position. And I think she'll offer some fair value here because I think a lot of people will still be on JK First Lady. And not that they shouldn't be. She's a solid horse, but she came up a little short last time. Maybe she'll be tighter this week. What do you got, Matt?
I have 2 of the 3 of yours. I went 1, 8, 9, JK First Lady, Reflect With Me, Tony Alagna horse, and Lion Sentinel. My top pick, maybe for a little bit of value, would be Reflect With Me, but the aforementioned JK First Lady, real position, Yannick Jingar, Nancy Tactor, who everything she's thrown out is winning, as we know. Tactical advantage. Lion Sentinel from the Jing King barn with Tim Tetrick driving. Barn mate to Chartenen. Certainly, everybody's well aware of the prowess of that barn. And maybe the value play, Tony Alagna horse, who was well represented on Saturday night with a plethora of horses. Andy McCarthy listed to drive. You know what? 1 first out on an overnight event looks fine in that qualifier. Maybe add some value from out there. So I'm with you going 3 deep, but I go 1, 8, 9 instead of 1, 6, and 9.
And you threw up my top pick, so we'll see how that goes for you. We're going to move on to race number 7, the $391,000 William Outman Memorial. I went 3 deep in this race as well, using numbers 5, 6, and 7. Backstreet Shadow is actually my second pick in here. I was actually listening to driver Tim Tetrick say that the horse scoped a little bit sick last week. It was still a humongous effort, left, uncovered, held really well. I think that one's the horse to beat. But I went with the 6 Dancing Lou, who was used really hard to get the lead in 52-3, was pressured every step of the way after that, and still only lost by 3 lengths. This is a horse that doesn't mind taking some air. He doesn't mind getting some abuse, and he still keeps trying hard every single week. I just think he thinks he needs a slightly better trip, and he can get the job done. What about you, Matt?
Well, you know what? We discussed Dancing Lou at depth last week, and I do have him on my ticket also. I went with 3 horses, also 3 consecutive horses, but I took it down 1 notch, going 4, 5, 6, including my top choice, Century Pharaoh. Came out of the same race as Dancing Lou and the Graduate, just got shuffled back to an impossible spot. And although the line looks like he only finished 7th, I mean, he wasn't that far off. He was absolutely motoring. This guy, 4-year-old's proven he can go with these and could offer some value with some definitely more established horses out there. I also went Backstreet Shadow. I figure of the Burke representation, he's clearly the sharpest one and the most logical one to use of the 4 Burke entrants in here. We saw a tough trip last week, obviously, but you know what? If he can be on the front end and maybe be left alone for a bit of a breather, which may or may not happen, he could be tough. And Dancing Lou, in what was a barn burner of a race, he was very stubborn before tying. He'd certainly be excused for that effort. And as long as he doesn't bounce and he's still sharp, he could be right there. So, yeah, I went 3 deep. But again, my top choice is Century Pharaoh. So much like you in the first leg, I don't have your top choice. You don't have my top choice here. But I went 3 deep also, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and Century Pharaoh certainly has a chance. I want to see a little bit more from him, but that race last week, he had absolutely no shot. He was taken back to last. He was trying to find room with him, David Miller, and there was no chance for him to get into that race at all. And I could see people latching on to him. I hope the price isn't too short, for those who do, because of the fact that, had that kind of tough trip. We're going to move on to race number 8. It's the $464,900 Hambletonian Maturity. It's worth noting this race goes at 1 1/8 miles, so a little bit longer run into that first turn, and we have 13 horses lined up for this race. I went 2 deep on my ticket here. I feel pretty strongly about my top pick, but I just can't throw out number 1 Forbidden Trade. Luke Blaze, every time he shows up at the Meadowlands, his horses race well, they do well. This guy won the Hambletonian here last year. He was superb in his return effort, against older horses last time. It's impossible to leave him off the ticket. My top pick is number 13, Chimpanzee. People a little bit worried about the second tier post, but what's nice is he has that outer second tier post, so he can kind of move over a little bit to the right if he wants. Kings County, who's going to be in front of him, should show some speed in this spot. I think he'll try to get around the 2 and try not to be too far back. So I don't think the post is as bad as people make it out to be for Chimpanzee. And if you could get 8 to 5 on him, I would probably take it.
You know what? You make a good point with being in the second tier, but the outermost post of the second tier, and that does help in terms of him not getting locked in, early and throughout the whole mile. I went 3 deep. I used Forbidden Trade. I used Chimpanzee, and Chimpanzee is my top choice. I also threw in the 7 Reign of Honor, who ran second to Chimpanzee, made a huge move out of the gate, blasting for post 10 to cross over. Then sat the pocket of Chimpanzee and held very gamely for second. Marcus Mielander, trainee. He's certainly just coming into his own now, and I think he can move forward off that effort. And if Chimpanzee gets a brutal trip, or Forbidden Trade is maybe a little overstated off that 1 return race, Reign of Honor could be a good price play. I'm also using the 1 and the 13, and you zeroed in on just Forbidden Trade and Chimpanzee. If you're going too deep, I think if anybody out there is going too deep, it's an automatic. I think everybody's going to have Forbidden Trade and Chimpanzee on their tickets. So there's certainly no surprise there. And I've been hearing a lot of people on the Forbidden Trade bandwagon coming off a 1 return start, which, yes, it was impressive, but it was also a pretty soft, easy spot, and he had an easy trip. So did he power away in hand? Yes, but he's got to take another step forward here to control this bulky field here. So 3 horses instead of 2 horses, 1, 7, and 13. Top choice is Chimpanzee.
The 1 horse I could also see taking a little bit of play is certainly When Doves Cry. Neither of us used that's the 5 horse in this field.
We didn't even mention her.
A couple of reasons why I went against was, first start of the year, even though it's like forced qualifiers to get prepared for it. Also coming off Lasix, this race, none of the horses are allowed to be on Lasix. So there's a couple of negatives there for me. I don't think the price is going to be that great. So I think that was a horse to move past. We'll move on to race number 9. It's the Meadowlands Pace for $636,650. We have a full field of 10, obviously, for this pace final, and we'll take a look at the entries for this field and run them down for you. The 1 is Roll with JR, and I'm pretty sure that Roll with JR is going to need a little bit of luck.
Yeah, listen, he's a nice horse. Any horse that can make the Meadowlands Pace final, is a nice pacer. But this guy is clearly on the outside looking in, and probably just have to save ground and maybe try to carve out a small check. But I don't see him doing much better than that.
The 2 is Catch with the Fire. Really had no shot in the pace, was sitting last at the head of the stretch. Came on, wasn't a bad effort, 25-4 final quarter. Maybe we'll see a little bit more speed this week, Matt.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, he's another nice horse. He did what he had to do to make the final. And there's always the people pulling for maybe the smaller guy connections. More of an unknown connections. John Ackley's a trainer. Mike Wilder's a driver. Certainly connections you don't see that often around the Meadowlands, especially in stakes races. This guy wouldn't shock me at a big price. He absolutely wouldn't, and I would definitely consider him on the bottom of my tickets on tries and superfectas. I think with a smart drive and a lucky trip, he can hit the ticket here.
Number 3 is Captain Barbosa. This horse is another kind of sneaky type horse that comes home really strong every single week. If they go crazy on the front end, couldn't this guy be flying late for a piece?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to gauge in a Meadowlands Pace elimination where he saved ground, was buried, and obviously did have pace. Decent posts. You got this Brian Sears guy who acclimated nicely with them. I ultimately don't have him on my tickets, on my multi-race wagers, but yeah, he wouldn't shock me, and he should be somewhere around that 10-1 in his morning line. Anything with Brian Sears, anything with Tony Alagna, and he's certainly fast enough. I don't have him, but he wouldn't shock me. He would disappoint me, I guess, for my pari-mutuel purposes, but he wouldn't shock me.
The 4 horse in the field is Alleywag Hanover. He's been absolutely spectacular this year. 3 for 3 so far. His last start came in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes, and boy, did he look good. Let's take a look at the video for that race. Tim Tetrick is just sitting there on the bike. He's loaded with horse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a nice field of Pennsylvania breds, but Alleywag Hanover has proven that he's a notch above these, and that's why he's in the Meadowlands Pace Final and one of the main contenders. You see him just power away with ease at 5 cents on the dollar. Perfect tune-up. Using this race as a tune-up rather than the Meadowlands Pace Elimination, where he accepted a bye into the final. Listen, this guy is a main contender and probably the second choice to Tall Dark Stranger. We've seen him come from way, way back in those 2 Meadowlands races. He won't be that far back. I'm sure he'll be on the move early in this race. And he's listed as a third choice at 9 to 2 in the morning line. Probably come down a little bit from that, but I think he's an automatic to be on anybody's multi-race tickets.
I'm thinking he's going to be somewhere around the 5 to 2 range. And one of the things, as good as he's looked, we haven't seen him against, he wasn't battling as Tall Dark Stranger and Pappy Rob Hanover or, week in, week out and right there at the wire. I kind of want to see him win a big race before I would take 5 to 2 or 2 to 1 on him.
Okay, that's fair enough, but definitely fair enough. You never want to take a short price on a horse that's having to do something for the first time, so to speak. But just based on form and what he's looked like so far, especially with those impressive stretch rallies, in my opinion, he's right. He's right, not on top, but right near the top for me, and on my pick 4 ticket.
Number 5 is Tall Dark Stranger. He's going to be your morning line favorite. I believe it's 7 to 5, and he will go off as the post-time favorite. We're going to take a look at him winning the Meadowlands Pace Elimination, which was kind of, it almost looked like a qualifier to some extent. He won 122 and 1 3/4. That's pretty slow.
Yeah, I imagine Meadowlands Pace Final is going to be in the 120 range for 3/4. But listen, this was a 1-horse elimination to eliminate just a couple of horses. He didn't figure there was going to be a ton of movement, and it was a very professional effort. He did what he had to do. He brushed to the front, was able to rate the middle half, and you see him with just moderate urging from Yanni Gingras, hold the pockets that are at bay. Clearly, he's not, if he does make his way to the front at some point in this race, clearly he's not going to have it that easy with just moderate, uncovered pressure coming at him. But I don't see any reason why he's not up to the task of coming off what's, a perfect conditioner race for him coming into this final. The race does go through him. As much as I hate to pick a favorite in the Meadowlands Pace, he is my top choice. But again, I don't think we're talking standout heavy favorite here. So if I can get somewhere in the 7 to 5 range, I think that's fair value on the horse that, from this mid-pack post, I think is clearly the horse to beat here. Will it be on the front end? Who knows? But the race goes through him, and he's my top pick and one of my 2 horses on my pick 4 ticket, him and Alleywag Hanover. So I don't know if he's your top choice, but he's the one for me.
He's not my type pick, and it's not because he's not the horse to beat, because he is. The problem is, I think he's going to be 4 to 5, and I don't think he's separated himself enough from this field to be 4 to 5 against him for my wagering dollars. That's the way I look at it. If I could play driver as far as strategy, I'll play Yannick Gingras for a second. I think he's going to float away here, let the outside horses go and make his move to the front. This way he's in charge of the race and he gets to decide what happens. I don't know if that's the way you see it's going to happen.
I see him ultimately making his way to the front, obviously not as easily as it did last week. But yeah, on the move early, and if he clears before the half, let's say, obviously he's going to take on pressure. He's going to go faster than 3/4 pole. But listen, he won that elimination with plenty in reserve, and I imagine the other contenders will be chasing him at some point, which at the end of the day puts him in the advantageous position.
We'll move on to horse number 6. It's Manticore. Here's a horse that also has been closing well, like Captain Barbosa, but he's going to need a little bit of help.
Yeah, he's an outsider. And the last couple of races did not impress me all that much. His race 2 back in an overnight event, he really didn't fire. You can't excuse him for the effort in the Meadowlands Pace Elimination. He did what he had to do. He raced well from the back of the pack when shaking free. Long shot in my book, however, for Jordan Stratton, and I think it's cool to see Jordan Stratton getting a crack here for big bucks on the big stage, but he'll need a lot of luck.
Captain Midnight, number 7, went a long mile on the outside last time. Didn't make the final. His stablemate bowed out. He gets in. Now he gets a chance at the big time. My only question, is he fast enough?
Listen, I think they're all arguably fast enough with the raw speed, but he's going to be trip dependent. And we saw a long grind last week. He did tire. The argument can be made he should have held a little bit better. I think he's going to have to improve off that effort without a doubt. And I think he's another maybe fringe player on the bottom of the tickets. Definitely included in tries and supers, but I think if he cracks the top 2, I'd also be a bit surprised.
The 8 is Major Bets. Certainly disappointed everyone last week. Took a decent amount of money from the inside with Tall Dark Stranger in the race and just didn't have it. I mean, this is a freakishly fast horse who, if he gets the right trip, he's capable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw him in that New York Sire Stakes race in upstate New York. He was just a solid 2-move winner. And, yeah, that was a disappointing effort. Doing what he had to do to protect the rail early, yielding. Popped the pocket, had clearance, and was just hanging. And it was kind of disappointing to see. I could see him not gaining, but, I mean, he clearly lost ground. So if you just go strictly off last week's race, it's tough to endorse. If you go off prior efforts, he's much easier to endorse. I don't know how aggressively handled he's going to be early, and if he does leave and fire out and other horses come and make their moves, I think he gets shuffled back in the rail, and I don't see him having a late impact.
Number 9 is Poppy Rob Hanover, and that is my top pick in the race. And you know what? He really hasn't had a chance yet this year. 2 post 10, hasn't been put in the race. I really think driver David Miller will get him involved early this week. And the other thing when I think about this horse is he might be the best horse in the race. And I'm probably going to get third choice money, in my opinion, probably 4 to 1 or so, on a horse that I think might be the best horse in the race. And how do I not take that?
I agree. And we know I don't see him just floating away to get away 9th from the gate. Like you said, Dave Miller has to get him out and moving in the flow. And could that work to his advantage? Ends up with like a live second over toe or maybe a third over toe? Quite possibly. And he's obviously one of the main contenders. And I agree, you're going to get 4 to 1 on him just strictly because of the outside post. I did not use him on my tickets, on my Pick 4 ticket, but clearly, if you have to break this race down to 3 top contenders, he's one of the top 3. And certainly would be no surprise. Only question is, the question in everybody's mind, does he have too far to come?
And number 10 is Captain Kirk, a very good second behind Tall Dark Stranger last week in the elimination. A horse that I really liked, and I was looking forward to perhaps even playing in the Pink's final, but I just don't see how he's getting it done from post 10.
Yeah, that's just a tough post draw. I mean, I know you liked him last week, and you kind of made me look twice at him last week, and I think we both cashed okay on that race. Nice exacta finishing second behind Tall Dark Stranger, but yeah, post 10 I think just seals his fate. I mean, it's tough. Where is he going to go? Where's Bongiorno going to go? Unless he has enough speed to loop the field at the first turn, he's going to get stacked out there and probably used up. And he's certainly not. There's no smooth, easy pocket trip that's going to set up like it did in elimination. I just think it's just too much to overcome from out there. Unfortunately, because he is a very talented horse, and he proved last week that he does fit with these. But I mean, you got to get a big price if you think he's going to overcome what I think is too many obstacles.
$100,000 guaranteed Pick 4 starts in race 6, ends in race 9. Let's take a look at my ticket as it completes. It comes out to 169 with 567 with 113 with 3459. Total cost is $36, and Matt has his ticket as well.
Yeah, my ticket is slightly smaller, $27. This is for a 50-cent play. Obviously, spread with the logicals and a couple of potential prices, and I only went too deep in the pace final. Alleywag, Hanover, and Tall Dark Stranger. I'm just gonna stick to my guns with those 2. Obviously, Tall Dark Stranger is my top pick, and if I'm alive going into this race, will be the lowest pick for probable, I would imagine. But still, it's only a $27 investment, so we're not spreading too much, and you have a chance at a decent payday in what will be a six-figure pool.
Once again, a great stakes card at the Meadowlands, 13 races, post time 6:30, $50,000 guaranteed pick 5, race number 1, $100,000 guarantee in race number 6. Race 11 has a $65,000 mandatory payout jackpot high 5, so plenty of action, plenty of things to look forward to. Hopefully, we'll see you at the track. Good luck.